We're back on the Morning Brew with friends, and this is Clay Campbell, the Capital Improvement Manager for Bernco County. So that means it's Bernco on the brew. I love that graphic. It's so much fun. And you're the guy who gets to be in charge of all, capital improvement, which means a lot, but it really means helping roads, helping facilities, helping trails, all of that stuff, right?
Yes, Dan, it does. What I do is I'm involved in trying to get the money for those projects so that project managers can then implement those projects.
So where do you get the money?
We get a variety of sources to fund us. We get our general obligation bond money, which I'll talk about a little bit later.
And that's something that we vote for,
correct?
Right?
Every other November.
Right.
We get capital outlay money from the state of New Mexico.
That's got to be a nightmare.
It's a challenge, but it's a very important funding source for us.
I don't know if you can talk about it, but I know last year there was some big challenges with capital outlay funds.
Yeah,
the state didn't even. They had to have a special session just to fix that last year.
Right.
Does that put projects on hold? Does that make it difficult on your end?
It creates some uncertainty for us. The big challenge at the state level is what the state isn't getting in terms of oil and gas revenues, and so that has a ripple effect on what they can or cannot give to local governments.
But there's also issues with how that money is dispersed, I guess, right?
As I understand it, yes, there are. Bernco County has some pretty solid plans that we use that are the basis for our requests. Sometimes we don't get adequate funding to do anything meaningful. Sometimes we have to wait several sessions to get funding in phases.
Right, you build up the money.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
So you can't get $5 million in one shot, so you wait 5 years and get $1 million a session or something, right?
More or less, yeah. And our other funding sources are impact fees, which come about from developers when they pull building permits, and then we also get a fair amount of federal transportation funds for some larger road projects.
Right.
So those are our 4 funding streams that comprise the capital improvement program.
Okay.
And we try to leverage and integrate those funding sources to get projects built.
What's your biggest project you think you've done in the last 4 or 5 years, you think?
Capital project that Bernco County's built. We have done some open space projects. We've done some road projects. Bridge Boulevard redevelopment is coming up.
That's a big
probably
one.
going to be a $20 to $25 million project that our public works folks are managing the design process for the redevelopment of that corridor.
Cool. We had the folks on talking about that not too long ago, and that looks like it's going to be a really beautiful project when it's done.
I think so. Yeah, it should really be very nice for the residents there.
Yeah, it's going to be a kind of a nightmare to get over the bridge at the river there for what, 6-8 months. But it's going to be, once it's done, it's going to be great.
Right.
Yeah. So in your case, do you have to figure out? Do you assess need and then put money, or do you assess projects? How do you determine the priorities?
Well, Bernco County, let me kind of paint the big picture here. We have about $800 million of capital project needs countywide for roads, parks, public safety facilities. You know, that is the inventory.
Sounds like a lot of money.
It's a huge amount of money.
How much of that is funded? If you have $800 million in need, how much money do we have?
About 20% of it.
Oh, wow.
And so the other 80% is unfunded. And so that's the challenge, is how to reduce that gap.
Right. Is that just maintenance? Is that just...
No, this is all capital dollars, and the viewer should understand that the difference between capital and operational dollars. Capital is for bricks and mortars, for facilities, for things that are going to have a lifespan of 10 years or more. Operational dollars are what pay salaries, pay for office supplies, and things of that nature. So the funding sources are very different in how they're managed and how they're obtained.
Oh, okay. And so that means that you guys look for projects you can actually sink some money into. Yeah,
every district has got its needs, and like our Parks and Recreation Department just had a major master plan approved that now it's time to start implementing, and we do that through these funding sources. I know our public works folks have some flood reduction projects that are master planned that now need to be implemented in phases and chunks with money. So there's things like that, and that's how we do our planning, and that's what goes into our capital improvement plan. And so every other year we go to the voters with a series of bond questions, but leading up to that November election date, we go to the public in the spring, and that's what we're about ready to do here in March and April for our public meetings.
So that means this November at the election, we can vote for some bonds too.
Correct. There'll probably be 5 or 6 bond questions focused on transportation, recreation, public safety, county buildings, and things of that nature. And we've got a $31 million bond package that will be introduced and explained to the public starting tomorrow night, March 17th, which is our first public meeting. We'll have one public meeting in each commission district in March and April to inform the public about our capital improvement program, the projects proposed to get this money, and kind of the big picture of our needs. And
That's
so
cool.
you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said, how many dollars do we have of needs, and that's what we've got. So I want to explain to the public kind of what we're dealing with, and why we can't build everything that everybody wants.
Right. Yeah. Do you have some people that just say, I really need this road, I really need this senior center, I really need this whatever?
Yes. Yeah. And roads in particular, Bernalillo County has approximately $90 million of deferred road needs, road paving, road rehabilitation needs, and so that's a huge ticket item of that $800 million.
Right. Well, that's something we all see, we all use, and we're all.
Exactly.
I think we had some photos of some roads here that were showing some of the projects, and some of them were. Is this before and after photos? I think of one of them.
Yeah, it looks like an East Mountain Road. I'm not sure which one that is, but and there's the after picture right there after the work gets done.
Right. Well, and people forget the county's big. It does go way up into these mountains.
We're almost 1,200 square miles, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Almost, just shy of that.
Yeah, because the city, then there's the county beyond that. So you guys are in charge of a lot.
Right, we're in charge of the unincorporated area of the county, the North Valley, South Valley, East Mountains, some parts of Paradise Hills.
Right, anywhere where you see a sheriff's deputy.
Excuse me?
Anywhere where you see a sheriff's deputy.
Instead of an APD officer.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So what do you think are the ways we can improve that system? Are there ways we can actually help the capital improvement system?
Well, I think the main thing is for the public to understand the situation that local government's in, and why we cannot provide a swimming pool in every neighborhood, or where we cannot provide a park every half a mile. The operational cost to keep this stuff open, clean, maintained is taxing, literally.
Right.
And we can only do so much. So I think if the public can just alter their expectations in terms of what they expect from us, we can do a much better job of serving them. That would be my main message to the public, is just to understand the magnitude of what we're dealing with and why we can't be everything for everybody.
Right, right. And that's why you have the public meetings like tomorrow nights.
And it's a big part of just informing people about who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it, and being as transparent as we can be, explaining our situation, and wanting them to know that we do want to hear from them. We do want their feedback, but we also want them to understand our realities.
Right. You know what projects you have that are exciting and big you do want to show off
and
too,
necessary,
right?
exactly. And what we want to do with our bond money is top off and finish off the funding for projects that are partially funded.
Of course, of course. What's the next big project? I know the Bridge Boulevard is a big one.
Is one, yeah, that's for Public Works. The South Valley is lower than the elevation of the river, so there's a whole bunch of smaller scale drainage projects in the South Valley that our Public Works folks are also doing. Our Parks and Recreation folks are doing park redevelopment, Little League redevelopment, so a lot of the things to keep parks and playgrounds and ball fields nice, they're going to be doing. We always have a fire station or two that needs some remodeling, things like that. So those are the types of capital projects that are really the big focus for Bernalillo County right now.
Well, that sounds good. We'll see you tomorrow night at the public meeting.
At Vista Grande Community Center in the East Mountains on March 17th at 6:30 p.m.
That sounds great.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back in a couple of seconds, and we're going to be talking dirt with Jim and Paulina.
All right.
It should be fun from Solutions.